Do you want to hit us with that intro music?
The sweet, sweet intro music.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Bianca, and I found the secrets to the game Dustforce in a 100-year-old book.
Spicy. Hi, my name is Trent, and I found Hero Generations when I was rustling some jimmies just too hard.
What?
And I forgot I owned that.
Rustling some jimmies?
You know, man, sometimes you rustle some jimmies and they just get too rustled. And out falls Hero Generations.
But what's a jimmy?
I'll leave that to you to decide.
Oh my god. Okay. I guess I will let my imagination wander. And I'll go on a quest, like a soul quest, to figure out what a jimmy is.
Or like a vision quest, like where you just go on a drug trip in the desert for like 3 days.
Yeah.
And you just see in the sky plastered
Jimmies. Yes. Perfect. That's exactly what's happening. All right. Welcome to I Forgot I Own That. This is a podcast where your two hosts, that is us, Bianca and Trent, talk about games that we have owned for a while but maybe forgot about or just kind of acquired randomly. And we're playing them and just giving you our hot takes and our general ratings, experiences, just how we felt, whatever sort of comments we have.
Yeah.
It's loosey-goosey, you know.
Yeah. I guess before we start, I'll make a quick note. For the observant among you, I said I was playing a different game at the end of last week, which was Crawl. I spent like 15 minutes with that game and realized it's really, really, truly made to be a multiplayer experience, and I was having zero fun with it as a single player. So maybe we'll come back to that in a co-op world, but yeah. I hot swapped games to make sure I had something good and viable.
Yeah, so apologies if anyone was excited for hot takes on the game of Crawl. You're getting Hero Generations instead. But before we get into our games for the week, we just like to warm up a little bit by talking about the best things that we saw this week. So, Trent, what was the best thing you saw this week?
So, we've been some cooking fiends in the last week. We've done a lot of hardcore cooking.
Hardcore.
And I have this thirst, this deep-seated hunger for a dish from my childhood, which is gnocchi, classic potato dumplings, in like a casserole situation where there's like a creamy sauce, peas, like chunks of ham, and you top it with cheese and stick it in the oven, and it's delicious.
Yeah.
That was like a thing that we had when I was a kid. So we recreated that this week with homemade fresh gnocchi. We made it like vegetarian style, so we did like a vegan bacon and used like a fake meat broth, because apparently there's broth in this or some shit.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. I was not expecting that in the recipe.
Me neither. I guess it's like a very like French thing to do like broth and cream.
Sure.
So yeah, we did like vegetarian style, and it was still really tasty. I made fucking gnocchi, and that's lit.
You did, yeah. You like kneaded it and everything. I grated the potatoes.
Yeah, you did. You helped.
I did such a good job grating those potatoes.
Yeah. But the one thing I'll say, if you're making gnocchi, is you will get potato starch everywhere. We had like a layer on the place where we were kneading, the surface I was kneading, just gooky potato starch, and I was like picking dried potato starch off my fingers for like a full day. Like I kept finding new like little just scabs of it I would tear off, which was very satisfying, so I'm not complaining. What was the best thing you saw this week?
The best thing that I saw this week was my own bread. So
Hell yeah.
We on occasion watch Good Mythical Morning, and they have this offshoot channel called The Mythical Kitchen, right?
Something like that.
Something like that. So their chef Josh has his offshoot channel, and him and the two other of their kitchen folks at GMM posted this video that was like 3 bread recipes that are easier than sourdough or something like that. And I was like, this is exactly what I need, because sourdough is way too much effort for me. And so I watched it, and there was a recipe for a no-knead yeasted bread. And I was like, I have yeast. and flour and water and salt. I can do this. And so I made it, and it made 3 little loaves of bread, and we ate one immediately out of the oven, and it was really tasty. And then we delivered one to your sister and her husband, and then we kept one for later and ate it 2 days ago.
We kept eating it with saucy things. Like I also made
we had it yesterday with our other gnocchi with the red sauce.
Yeah, so I also made homemade marinara sauce over the weekend. So we kept, I think for one meal we used like our little wedges of bread to scoop up marinara, and we had leftover gnocchi from the casserole that we didn't get to cook because we had too many gnocchis. Like we had too many gnocchis to fit in like the thing. So then I made that with some of the remaining fresh marinara.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
So yeah, the bread was great, and I would love to make it again.
Yeah, highly recommend if you just need like an easy hobby, or if you're like the person, because I guess everybody's just like going bananas for like making bread right now. Like everybody and their mother's trying to make some bread. If you want to be that person but don't want to put in the effort, definitely look up that video, because those are, especially the one we did, was very minimal effort for like quality bread, like a good quality to effort ratio.
Yeah, it was like 4.5 to 5 hours total, but a good 4.5 hours of that was just sitting and waiting for the bread to rise.
A lot of just like looking at bread just expanding.
Exactly. So it was perfect for me.
Ideal. Okay, so what did you play this week, Bianca?
I played Dustforce, specifically the Dustforce Director's Cut thing, because that's just what exists now.
Sure.
So it's developed by Hitbox Team, and it was released in 2012. It's a platformer, kind of like Celeste is, where it's very acrobatic and very detailed. You got to be very detailed in your movements in order to progress in the game. And where you were talking about last time with Celeste, and how you kind of advance in screens, and if you die, you don't necessarily have to go back to the very beginning of the level. It's just kind of wherever the beginning of that quote-unquote room was. Yeah. Similar in that sense as well. It's just kind of the general kind of gameplay of it. Characters, think like you're an acrobatic janitor. Because you're like sweeping dust off the floor.
Okay, Dustforce, dust tracking.
Yeah. So you're just like kind of cleaning up like a dirty world, but but it's not always dust. Like the first set of levels are like leaves in a forest, so the dust is leaves and not actual dust.
Dust is leaves.
Yeah, but in like another part of the world, it's like a mansion, so there's like actual dust on the floor.
I see.
So it's open to interpretation what the dust is per se. Yes,
the dust is the friends we made along the way.
Yeah. So yeah, you just like go along this level, and you have to clean up the dust, and there are some. They're kind of enemies. I mean, they do like hit you, and you hitting them and defeating them is how you continue your combos and continue on the level and end the level and whatnot. So you just have to basically get as much of the dust as you can, ideally all of it, in a level, and defeat all the enemies, and that's how you finish a level.
Okay.
There are 4 characters that are all very janitorial. There's like just kind of very general like man woman with like the janitorial like overalls and long brooms. There's this old man who I have not played yet, who has one of those like vacuum things, vacuum backpacks with the suction, you know? Yeah. And then there's a smaller purple chick who has her dust cleaning things kind of look like pom-poms. And so she just kind of waves them around in 2 hands and has her pom-pom dusters.
All right, then.
Supposedly, all of these characters have slightly different abilities, which I kind of noticed when I was playing, because I initially was playing as the one main janitorial chick, and then I was like, maybe if I tried the purple chick, and the purple chick seemed to have like a 3rd jump, I swear, which the other chick did not have. So there are slight differences. I just haven't really played around with them enough.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to mention is that this director's cut version of the game is like an update from the original version. This game is very difficult. And so what the devs did as part of this update was add some easier levels, because it kind of seems like a lot of people who had the game were quitting pretty early on because the game was too hard for them to advance. So they added some easier levels, and they changed around the way the overworld looks. So this is how you access the levels in the game.
Yeah.
And essentially, to get to a new level, it's almost like you're playing a level in order to get to the new level, because you have to use the jumping and the mechanics of the actual gameplay in order to access harder levels.
Okay.
So there's like the super easy levels, which are pretty immediately available to you. And then there's bronze, you get bronze keys from completing those levels, and that accesses the next easy levels. It's like baby easy and then easy. So those are the bronze key ones. Completing those levels gets you silver keys, which gets you to the medium levels, and then completing those gets you gold keys, which gets you to the like really hard levels. And in order to even reach, say, the silver keyed doors, you have to do some crazy acrobatic stuff that I only barely got to this one time by happenstance, because I managed to like click buttons in the right way. So you have to really understand the mechanics of the game in order to even access everything, which is, I like it, but it's also kind of sucks because you don't have everything available to you. But that's kind of goes into the like one gripe I have about this game, is that it's really hard and you have to be perfect at it in order to really succeed. So as I mentioned, you get keys from completing levels. The way to get like a key is by getting S rank, which is the perfect, in both finesse and completion. Finesse is the metric that you can't lose your combo, you can't get hit, you can't go too slow in the game. You have to just have a consistent combo, not die, not get hit in a level in order to perfect finesse. And then completion is just getting all the dust and like all of that, which that's pretty easy to do. The finesse is what's hard. Yeah. Because if you die, that's it. And you have to like essentially restart the level if you want to try again.
Why is it that so much of what we own is just mean?
I don't know.
Is like the fourth or fifth game where we're like, this game is really fucking hard. Like,
it is.
How does this keep happening?
Yeah. So it's like kind of the same as like Dark Souls, in the sense where it's like you don't get to choose how easy the game is. You just have to sit with what the developers give you and rise to the challenge, or just do what you can and hope for the best. Maybe hope you'll get better at it.
Maybe.
So that's the one thing, is like I can practice to an extent. Like I could already sense that I was getting better at certain things the more I tried them, which makes sense. Yeah. But how long will it take me to get some of those really hard levels? I don't know, to like perfect them. Will I ever be able to access all the levels? I really don't know. Probably not. So it's kind of interesting that this game is, in between. It came out after Super Meat Boy, but before Celeste, and Celeste at least gives you the option to make things a little bit easier, so you can actually focus on the story and progress in the game and complete it. And I mean, Dustforce has no story really. It has the loose, like you're cleaning up the world sort of thing, but like
so wholesome.
But like, there's no plot to it.
You're the janitors of light.
So that's
the janitor who was promised. Destroy, banish the dust from this land. Go with your brooms.
You should have
been
the narrator for this game.
Hey, I'm still open. Hit me up.
Yeah.
Open for commission work.
Wow. So yeah, that's like my one thing, is like you have to be ready to fail a lot, or to just accept that maybe you won't complete the game at all, because you have to get those perfect S ranks in completion and finesse in order to access the next thing.
Yeah.
But awesome things about this game. The music is so fantastic. I have such a good time there are of course plenty of times where I got frustrated playing this game, but then after I was frustrated, I was just like transported again by the music and like happily like restarting my level because I was like feeling it and it was great.
It's what you need.
It is.
You need the pump up tunes for this kind of stuff.
Totally full of pump up tunes. It's great. And then when they're not pump up tunes, they're still very like ethereal, pretty, the atmosphere. It's nice. I don't know. It's just great. Look up the soundtrack. It's great. Also, the art style is really nice. It's very visually pleasing. I love the way everything moves and the way everything interacts. So I thought that was great. This game is very competitive because you finish a level and you get told, how well you did in terms of your completion and finesse, how long it took you to complete the level. And then there comes up a leaderboard. So everyone that has played that level is ranked according to their time and their other scores. And so you get shown where you rank among those. But there's also a replay function. So you can see how you did playing the level. You get to replay the video of you playing that level. But you can choose anyone on the leaderboard and do their replay and see how they did it. So while it's really competitive in the sense of like if you want to get, into those really high leaderboard scores, I mean, that's up to you. But at the same time, that's a really good learning tool for the game because then you can see how other people are going about it and like doing, certain tricks and whatnot. So I think that's really awesome. And there was like one person that I actually looked at their replay and they finished a level in like 11 seconds and it was bonkers.
Goodness.
And I tried to do what they did and it didn't work. So I just need to get better is what I learned from that. Another thing that I like, which I had already mentioned, was that the game is really difficult and you can't access all the games, but I do like how the overworld is built in that in order to get to a game, you have to essentially be ready for that next level. Like they don't make harder levels accessible to you until you have mastered the techniques to even get to that level, which makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
It's a way to do it.
Yeah. I also know that this game has a level editor, which I have not played around with, mostly because I'm still just learning the game and I can't possibly make a level when I'm not even good at the game. But it sounds like people love it. It sounds like you can pretty much edit just about every single detail in the level editor. It's way beyond what people's expectations were for it. So people really like it and it sounds awesome. And finally, there's supposedly local multiplayer with this game. It's kind of weird. I don't know if they took it out or not because Steam doesn't say that there's any sort of multiplayer on the store page. But if you just look up the game, it talks about what you can do with multiplayer. There's like King of the Hill game modes and whatnot. And even in like the game menu, there's like player 1, player 2, player 3, player 4, and key bindings for them. So there must be a way to do it.
Very interesting.
So I think it would be fun to try multiplayer with that and just see what sort of game modes there are and mess around with, I don't know, sweeping up dust.
Competitive dust sweeping.
Exactly. It's like curling, but not. Because curling is not dust sweeping, but I just immediately went to curling. It kind of looks like they're curling, honestly, when you play the game, if you're the person with the long broom.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So I had a lot of fun playing it. I'm not good at it, but maybe I'll get better. Maybe, exactly. TBD. What did you play this week?
So I played a game called Hero Generations.
Yeet.
So Hero Generations is like it's a weird game. I will start by saying it is not really like anything I've ever played before, for better or worse.
Take that as you will.
in my opinion, for worse, but we'll get there.
Sure.
So it's like kind of set up as if it were a board game, like strategy game with some rogue-like ish elements. It was made by Heart Shaped Games. It was first released in like 2016 or 2015. Who cares? I don't
Around
know.
there.
Yeah, it was like both a Kickstarter and a Steam Greenlight game, so it probably had multiple release dates, whatever.
Yeah.
So the concept, the pitch. I will pitch you on this game.
All right. Sell me on it.
So, how would you like to control a randomly generated hero on a tile-based map covered with towns and dungeons and wandering bad guys and monsters and things like that, where each move you make is 1 year of your hero's life?
That sounds pretty interesting.
Sounds pretty
A little
interesting.
enticing. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
so you have like the lifespan of your hero to acquire as much fame and glory as you can, and then eventually find a suitor to continue your lineage before you die.
Yes.
You have like that set amount of time to do so. You gain fame by completing quests and slaying monsters, usual like RPG kind of tropes, fantasy tropes. Your offspring gets to inherit some of your loot and traits, and the cycle continues, and you continue exploring and gaining fame as you go. Whatever.
Hence the hero generation.
The generations, yeah, they go real hard on that part, so to speak. So in theory, this sounds cool, right?
Yeah.
I thought so as well. I thought it was an interesting concept. Again, like when you play it, it doesn't really feel like anything you've played before. But God, is it just not well implemented?
Oof.
Just
tell me more.
Oh my God. Just this game ends up being so boring somehow. Like it feels like a cheap Flash game pretty much, just because there just isn't a lot of, somehow with those mechanics in theory or concepts, they did not come up with a deeper, interesting game out of it.
Yeah. Which, I mean, you pitch it to be like that, and I'm like, oh yeah, sounds great. And then how can you not make that interesting? How can you not make that an interesting output? Like, it almost seems like effortful to me to have it come out being boring.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because they tried to add in too many things, but none of them live up to how they're pitched. And I don't really have a solution, because I just think like it as a concept in the form it is deeply flawed. And like there'd have to be some major changes to like what they want to include in the game. And I it's one of those things that I feel dumb when I play it. Like I feel like there's some strategy I should implement, but there's too many conflicting things and none of them are fun for me to like care enough to come up with like to play their game as they want it to be played. So I'm just going to start listing like things that I don't like about this game, because I really I just don't have a lot to say about this.
That's okay.
So that's pretty much all I can do, is just tell you all the things that just feel wrong.
Go for it.
So they make a whole thing about like it's generations and like your lineage like carries on your torch or whatever. But like whenever you have like your person dies and you have your offspring, like they start with zero notoriety. Like there's a whole fame currency essentially that you generate, and that's kind of like your score. So you're trying to get the highest score you can on a single life, but it doesn't carry over. So what's the fucking point? Like it doesn't make sense that this person who is this famous knight or explorer or whatever has a child and they just start with like fuck all. Like that's weird. Since it's about like lineage and whatever, there doesn't seem to be a lot of like one life does not impact the next.
Yeah, you just get like the parents' traits.
Yeah, you get some of the random traits, you get some resources, but it doesn't seem like the resources you get. So essentially the way it works is when you settle down to make your child, it's like the weirdest bird and bees talk ever. You settle down to make your child, you get a bunch of like fucking tarot cards that you flip over essentially. And it's like some of them. So it's essentially starting stuff for the child. And it's like you get bonus to your lifespan, you get bonus like attack damage for your fighting. You get like some random traits that none of them even seem that useful. But there's like, actually I take it back, there's like one that I got that was fucking overpowered because it like tripled all of my starting stats.
Whoa.
Which seems totally broken. Or just like money you hand down and things like that. And then you also hand down some of your items. We'll get to the items. Items are shit in this game, but you hand down items to your offspring as well. So there doesn't seem to be any direct correlation between what you do in a life and what you hand off, besides like those items and sometimes the traits, if your luck is good or bad, depending on if you want the trait or not. So that's the sense of progression and lineage and carrying shit over just doesn't exist. There's no value to it. Like it feels pretty much like you start a completely new character when you start. Another thing. So there's like the towns on the map, and there are squares around them where you can build buildings. That was kind of a cool twist. I wasn't expecting that in this game. But the buildings decay over time. Like they will just disappear, which is fucking annoying. So like the building, so like I just never used the buildings because they're really expensive, and all they do is like buff. Like you get bonus gold or you get like bonus attack or whatever if you walk over them. But again, none of that carries over to the next generation. So why would I spend my money on that when it's just going to go away in a little bit?
Yeah.
And they tried to like fix this by giving you an item that can like items that can repair your buildings. But here's the thing about the item system. You can only hold 2 items at a time, no matter what. That is so dumb. That includes any equipment you might want, any like building repair stuff, any quest items, and all this other shit. You can only have 2. So when I have like good weapons, like I have a weapon and a shield to help in combat, why would I take anything else?
Yeah.
Like if you drop it, you can come back for it, but if it ticks over to the next generation, it's gone forever.
Right.
So why would I waste a bunch of resources backtracking and dropping stuff? Not to mention the way they do the dropping and picking up is stupid. Like so you pretty much have to waste like 3. If you're on a square where you want a thing and your inventory is full, you pretty much have to walk away, drop it, and walk back because otherwise they will pick up the thing you just dropped instead of the new item. Which is just a dumb thing.
Yeah.
So that was a way. I wasted a lot of time doing that. But then eventually I was like, why am I swapping items when I just have the best things for combat, which seems to be all I need to do to like get enough. I don't know. There's no fucking gold in this game. It's stupid. What even else? Oh, there was something else I was going to add. Oh, there's a fog of war in this game, which means that there are these randomly generated maps you spawn into. Until you physically go to all of the tiles, you can't see what they are.
Right.
That makes sense. You're in a new place, you got to explore or whatever. But that is another thing that does not carry over.
Yeah.
Which is just so annoying. Like, can't we have some information kept? And it doesn't help that there's just a ton of enemies running around at any given time, so it's just really chaotic and you can't tell where fucking anything is. I got trapped in corners a couple times because of the way the enemies move, and when you lose a combat you don't go to where you tried to walk. So I was literally trapped in corners for a while because something happened. Like we walked in the same space and it punted me into the corner because I lost, and then it wouldn't move, so I just kept bouncing off it. So that's not very well designed either. I don't have a lot of structured thoughts about this. I'm just fucking rambling. Let's see what else. I have like a page and a half of notes that are just like things I don't like about this game. Also, so like they make a thing about like, oh, you explore to find loot and whatever. And first of all, like the only loot you can find is just money or fame or like some buff to your stats. Which is not very fun. And also sometimes when you loot places, you get a super short, shitty long animation that you can't skip, which I hate. But I also hate more that it's not even consistent. Like it's only some places and I can't figure out why.
Weird. Okay.
Like when you go to the forest, because I know you've played this. You go to the forest and sometimes you just get money, but sometimes it does this weird little animation where you are in the forest and find a chest. And by that, I mean, it shows you in a chest and then teleports you over to the chest. And then the chest opens. But it doesn't do that for every forest. I don't really know why, what situations, because it's always just fucking money. That is the most
special of forests.
But it's always just fucking money. Like, it's the same. I'd rather just not, because it's a waste of time.
Forest money.
Oh my God. And the same issue with combat, which is combat's lame because it's just a single die roll on your behalf and on the opponent's behalf. And I'm like, do we need this? Because it flashes up a thing and you have to move your mouse all the way over here to click the button and then it goes and shit happens. Like, it's always the same. Can we not just speed this process along? Like, I know what's going to happen. I get they wanted that interim because you can choose to run away. Those are your 2 options. Attack, or run away. Could we speed this up a little bit or something? Yeah, so just like no part, like the exploring I don't find fun because it's always the same stuff. I don't do the building because I don't see the point. It seems unnecessary, and just sort of all of this is working towards it doesn't feel like it has a point.
Yeah.
Like the point is get as much fame as you can in a lifetime. Mm-hmm. How so what? Like what does that get me? Because the fame isn't even like a currency. You get new things. There's no sense of progression between lives. There's no sense of progression in terms of like other than just getting a high score. Mm-hmm. But if I wanted to just play like a game where you get a high score, I would play something simpler and more fun, like like fucking Pac-Man or Galaga or something, if that's what I wanted out of my day. God, and the last thing I'm going to mention is in some promo material, I can't remember exactly where I read this, but like it's part of their pitch for the game, the developers, is that it is like a 4X strategy game meets like a Legend of Zelda game. Hey, editing Trent here. Podcasting Trent is about to say something that isn't really quite right at all. 4X is a genre of game and is not and has never been a developer of games of any kind. Though Civ, the Civilization series, is the poster child for the 4X genre. So pretty much everything else I say in the next little bit is correct. Just wanted to clear up that one point. So 4X is a developer who makes Civ games, Civilization. So it's a very specific type of strategy game where you literally go from the dawn of time to the present day, controlling a nation in all of its forms. It's a really deep strategy.
Very
game.
deep.
Like
very deep.
You are worried about religion, economy, warfare, technology. You're worried about like moving units. Like there's so much to those games. They're so fucking deep that it is absolutely batshit bonkers to me that they would even
remotely
they even slightly compare this game to a 4X strategy game. Like that is the most insane stretch I've ever heard in my life. Like the only thing that's remotely 4X strategy like is you build buildings to collect resources. You move a unit around. Yeah.
Like honestly, of what I'm thinking of, like Off-World Trading Company, of the stuff that immediately comes to mind, that's probably what comes the closest to me, because it is resource gathering and controlling a lot of different moving pieces and internal politics and whatnot, and relationships between other things, but it still doesn't come close to the depth of
because even something like, first of all, you played Off-World Trading Company, but was that for an episode we released, just to clarify?
No.
Okay. So Off-World Trading Company is a space-themed economy simulator thing.
Yeah, kind of like RTS. Like, you're just on Mars and you run an economy and have to mine materials and buy out your competitors type thing. But,
Which is all well and good, but like with a Civilization kind of game, you do that, but also have to worry about moving units around in different unit types.
Exactly.
Which is part of what makes it so complicated, because it's not even just like, oh, I'm managing ins and outs and resource and whatever. You're physically playing like a game of chess with units also.
Right.
So
yeah, which is why I was like, that's the only thing that is kind of similar, but still doesn't even come close to the depth of the Civ. Is like, because I can't think of anything that is as deep as Civ, to be honest.
I mean, any of the endless games are very similar to Civ on all fronts.
Europa Universalis 4 also.
Yeah, I would say that's in the same realm.
Yeah, that's fair.
Not fucking Hero
Not
Generations.
Hero Generations at all.
And also the whole, Legend of Zelda game. Fuck no, because Legend of Zelda has like actual, even in the old school ones, has actual like combat.
Yes.
Like real time, I am doing something to interact with my environment instead of fucking just rolling a die.
Yeah.
So fuck right off with that description. That is the biggest load of like, we're gonna stretch this as far as we can, fucking propaganda ass fucking marketing bullshit I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, when you like said that to me, I was like, okay. And I'm someone who is fine with Hero Generations playing it, but no way in hell does that description even come close to what this game is. Like, absolutely not.
Yeah. So I have, and I remember when I played this game. I sat down to play this game twice. The first time I played it, I walked away and just said, I feel very neutral about this game. Like I just feel bored about it, which is like not a good thing for a game to be, but like the more I thought about it, and I played it again today, and I just got like mad. Like we were talking about how other games we've played, like even when we had some negative things to say about them, we overall received the game fairly well. We always give our like mock scores at the end, and I think everything we've given has been above like a 6.
Yeah, because we understand what's a good game, like what's objectively good about something, whether it may not go to our specific tastes and what we like in a game.
Yes. Yeah. No, I got this game is not going to get that same treatment because I just don't. There's nothing about this that I would recommend to someone. Like I could see passively enjoying it, like depending on what your like idle game experience is, like what you want out of like a do nothing game. But God, that's not me. Like my preferred, like if I just want to play a game and not think about it at all, I want a game where there is the illusion of making decisions and choices, but nothing really matters. This game, like there isn't even that because nothing seems to matter because your life will be over in like 2 minutes anyway, and everything you did will be done.
Yeah. Whereas like this one is like there are the games that I want to play where I don't really have to put any thought into it. And then on the rarest of occasions, I want to play a game where I really just want to play like a clicky game.
Okay.
Like it's not just a game that I don't have to think about, but it's a clicky game that I don't have to think about. Like shitty Flash games that I don't need to think about. This is like that kind of game for me where like I can make some decisions, nothing overall really matters in the end, and I just like am satisfied enough with clicking the mouse for 15 minutes. And
have you ever played Cookie Clicker?
No.
Because that is the epitome of that. Because Cookie Clicker is a game where you click the mouse and you make cookies.
Oh.
Every time you click a mouse, you make a cookie.
Oh.
And then eventually you with cookies can purchase equipment to make your cookie clicking more efficient. And then eventually in a capitalistic way, remove the need for you yourself to click to make cookies.
Wow.
And it is, if you want an idle game where literally nothing matters and there is just the vaguest air of of a goal, the goal is just to find enjoyment in exponential growth of cookie creation. God, like I have wasted many an afternoon just like having that on. Like I'll have something on in the background, I'll just be doing that because you don't even have to like look at it.
Yeah.
It's great. Anyway, so fucking review of Hero Generation's worse than Cookie Clicker.
Oof.
Yeah, I got nothing else to say about this.
That's okay. So then, with that said, what would you rate Hero Generations?
God, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to like rake any semblance of like recommendable factors of this game, like commendable things. Like the music is okay, but I'm sure it's just like some stock. Like I don't think someone made music for this game. I'm sure they just bought the rights to something for it. The sprites are fine. They look like, if you've ever like looked into the world of like game creator software and like you can just buy pre-existing what's the word I'm looking for? Asset packages. Like people already made sprites and you just buy the license to use them in their game. It kind of looks like that. I don't know if that's the case. It just gives me that vibe. I'm going to give it like I feel kind of mean at this point, but I'm giving it like a fucking 1.5. Like a 1.5 Cookie Clicker is a better game out of 10.
Ooh. Ooh.
What about you? What would you rate? I don't even remember what you played.
Dustforce.
I went in such a deep hole there.
You did. There is a lot of putting your hands up on your forehead in exasperation that whole time.
That's how I feel. What would you rate Dustforce? Bring me out of this deep hole.
I would rate Dustforce. I think I'm gonna go 8.5 Dusty Gargoyles out of 10.
Ooh.
Because honestly, the music and just general ambiance of the game saves it for me. And I'm one where I have quite a bit of tolerance to some extent for how frustrating a game can be. And I'm for most things, I think I'm okay with maybe understanding that I won't be able to complete something. So if you are someone who also has that same kind of tolerance, I think it is a very good game and very worth trying out. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, that's it for this week.
Yeah, so next week I will be playing, and I'm very excited to have a good game again. A game called Brothers Tale of Two Sons, which is a pretty noteworthy indie game from a couple years ago that I never got around to playing.
Exciting. And I'm playing Brutal Legend.
Ooh, yeah.
Which I don't know anything about, but Trent said something about heavy metal, something about Jack Black being a character. So I'm excited to see whatever's going to go on with this experience.
It'll be good.
Catch us on social media. We are on Twitter and Instagram at IFIOT Podcast. And I've been streaming on Twitch lately, Thursday evenings and Sunday evenings. I've switched from Domina to Apotheon for Thursdays, and Sundays is my Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 night. So, sorry, not sorry.
Just chilling out some RC3.
It's so good.
RCQ.
RCT3.